Hey, what's up, space pirates, rebel scum, and kids alike, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. My name's English Davy Jones, and joining me, because I can't search for directions, is my co-host, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, Davy? How's it going down in the locker?
Everything's going great down here. Was that Tony? Is that Tony the Tiger thing? Did pirates say great, or is that Tony the Tiger?
It says both. Frosty.
There's a feature, you probably know about this, on Google search where you can change the language into pirate talk. So all the results will be like pirate style talk.
No, you can change the language. There's so many a lot of AI demos. There was for example, you can make it reply like a pirate. I'm like, what is this like? Why are we all fascinated with piracy?
We're here to talk episode 4. Can't say I remember no added. I love how he does his robotic stutter. Can't say I remember no added. Even the last week's episode when he was like,
stay tuned.
I shan't be repeating myself. I was like, oh, that's cool. Repeating myself.
Yeah, and even later in this episode when he switches his tone of speaking, it was very. His speech is very, very what's the phrase I'm looking for? Symbolic. I think it's gonna live with me. I'll remember his voice a lot. Because that switch up this episode with his voice was interesting. No spoilers.
Well, the synopsis is as follows. Our heroes face a surprise in a familiar setting. This is one of those episodes where last week you and I were sure where they would end up, right? You were sure.
Well,
pretty well, as close as to sure as possible. We were like, where does it go from here? We were like, oh, they're gonna now that they arrive home, where could the story go? We thought there might be some obstacles once they get home and things like that. And I mean, we were kind of right, but also very wrong.
I think you kind of called it, but just not exactly, which is good. All right, it's good.
Which is good. Yeah, it's a good place to be.
We're seeing the flow of the show, but it's not just exactly what you expect.
In fact, this episode almost expands some of the questions we might be asking, right? Where it's like, oh, well, if that exists, what else exists?
Then what else? It's opened up a bigger wormhole than I might have expected.
But also at the end of the day, this is also a story where, the title of Star Wars, sometimes we forget about the wars part. It's a huge part of the narrative, the wars part of Star Wars.
With an S, a big S.
Yes. And this episode kind of reminded me, it's a reminder of the wars part, but we're looking at a different perspective. I feel like this was almost like an episode that kind of slows down the narrative to focus on theme and character. Right? And I think this is a more theme and character based episode. To kind of stop, kind of figure out what's happening for the characters and for the audience, and then move on from there. What did you think of this episode, spoiler free?
I thought it was a fun episode. Yeah, a little bit of some unexpected turns, both in terms of pushing the story forward and kind of increasing the stakes a little bit, right? Making things not as playful, whimsical as it has been, right? For sure. By the end of the episode, it's very clear. Things are starting to get real. I think for those who've been here watching this show, they should be enjoying themselves at least at this point. And if not, I mean, well, I don't know.
It's not for you.
Yeah, if by now nothing, then just don't. But I think like I said, it's definitely not as playful as I think the initial episodes were. And we're still getting a kind of good synergy between the kids and the adult storylines, right? Where I don't think either person necessarily has to drop off. I don't think kids will be confused as to what's happening, but I think adults, which I am one, and as are you, can continue to watch this and still get some joy. It's like
wait, what?
Imagine that.
Nobody told me
no
this.
Santa.
What the hell? No. Okay, that's different. Okay, that's a different story. All right, that's a different story. I made sure my mother and my family knew that I believed in Santa Claus for as long as possible, because it means I get 2 presents, one from my parent and one from Santa. Because once you stop, it goes back to 1 only. So yeah, just a tip. The tip for you kids out there. Keep believing in Santa.
Can't say I remember no Santa.
All right, let's go to spoilers. This story fakes us out. in a good way, because the kids get faked happy, like, "Oh, we're
What?
home. Oh my god." And it was interesting because again, they kind of told us that this was a possibility before
Yeah.
previous episode where they were like, there were a couple of these hidden
Yeah.
planets and they were destroyed. And we
Yeah.
assumed destroyed meant like literally, because it's Star Wars, they have like planet destroyers, right?
Like literally, like rubble, turn to rubble, cannot go back, can't land on it anymore. I didn't think desolate
Shit,
or
it doesn't
remote
exist.
planet.
Let me can't land. There's
Yeah,
nothing there. It's just maybe an asteroid belt, you know,
but
at the most.
that's not the case apparently.
No, it's destroyed could also mean just like post-apocalyptic, but the planet is still
Yeah,
there. The physical
like
thing is still there.
the humans destroy themselves. They got greedy. They misused resources. All technically could apply.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned our podcast, and I want you to elaborate on this, and because I think I know where you're going. That this kind of reminded you of Silo, and
Silo,
because check out our podcast. We're also doing Silo as well. It's a good podcast to do. It's a good show.
great show.
In terms of, they recognize the planet only because everything, the layout and everything, just seems to be so
It's the same.
similar. What does
Mhm.
that mean to you, Andrew?
Interesting, because yeah, like I said, they did allude to the fact beforehand that there are a couple of these similar planets, but I guess I find it interesting that they're identical. Again, anytime I see like identical planets, identical places, it always gives off like slavery or like
Mhm.
some sort of camp or Stepford Wives. That same theme of to be that precise
Like that's a
is
facade
usually. It's usually something weird happening underneath. What's the name again? At Akron, like
at
at
Akron.
Aiken, at Akron. It just
In fact,
feels
sorry to cut you off, but by the end of it,
no.
we know the names of the other planets. There was at
Mm-hmm.
Itu, at Arisa,
Yeah,
at Arvin, at
yeah.
Akoda, and the other question is why are they all at
At
A,
yeah,
but it's also begins with the letter A, at A. I wonder what
yeah.
that means.
I feel like it's something. And are we gonna see each of them? I wonder. Are we gonna somehow get a view into all the planets and what if any? Because like I think you mentioned in the beginning. Now I have more questions. Like, okay, fine, I've seen one, but like, are they all identical? Is it like every ad has, like maybe ad's the architect or builder,
Sure.
right? And that's his signature. And like, if it's an ad planet, you're gonna get a central watchtower, a football field on the left, a tennis courts over there. You don't need to guess, right? Which would be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel like this was a resort type of estate made for
Mhm.
good. But I don't know. It's interesting. I think I like that there are all these questions that come up, and then definitely jumping, but can always jump back because the fact that people were here and Captain basically murdered his entire crew to prevent them from finding about at Atten still makes me wonder. Okay, so then did he go to all these places to also like hide this information? There's so many questions. I'm like, how
Mhm,
many people
mhm.
really know about at Atten, and does every at have information about the other ats? Because that would mean that
Well,
you'd have to wipe it from all the ats.
this is true. This is true. And here's my other question to you, right? Because we remember that where was the ship found? On Akron. That means the captain
At Ak-
made it. He made it there, clearly, right?
Yeah,
Well, let's be clear. The ship made it. We assume the captain was on the ship. The ship
fair. Yeah.
and SM-33 made it for sure.
SM-33 at least. Yeah.
So
The
the
captain had to
question
have made it
is,
right because they were in the room with. That's why he said they killed his crew, right?
yeah. And again, when the ship was found on Akron, buried underneath, right? So
The,
it arrived.
yeah,
The ship arrived. The captain, I'm assuming,
yeah.
arrived. This is just a side chatter that we won't have an answer to for a while. But we've been talking about a character. What was it called? The big boss, the supervisor.
I guess yes.
What if the supervisor, who we haven't seen yet, was the original captain of the ship? And it's like, I've arrived at Akron, and then gets a secret position of power and hid the ship, and then just became the supervisor somehow. I don't know. I'm sure we'll
That'd be
find out
interesting.
in
I
due
could see
time.
that.
But here's one thing that I want to know if it's a foreshadowing. If we know or believe that the architectural design is similar across the board, right? We don't know the why, but we know this is what's happening. There's a scene where Hana takes Neel to the roof, and it's like, oh look, we have a giant cannon.
Yeah. And
Could you
it's
see an
like,
episode when they go back and Neil's like, "I giant cannon on our roof. Do we have
yeah,
one too? We need one."
yeah.
I think it's
Or
foreshadowing
is
or
it
something like
like,
that.
say, I feel like it's there and it's been like disguised to look like, I don't know,
Exactly.
foliage, and it's the
Exactly.
side of a tree or something. And yeah, you dust it off and realize that, wait, this is a warship planet. What? Whoa, 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 whoa. And then what else? Because what other? I feel like we didn't fully get to explore this planet, just because it's so like dusty. And I'm like, there almost has to be more, right? There definitely almost has to be more.
But we don't explore the planet, but we do get to explore some of the people on this planet. I just mentioned Hana
Mm-hmm.
and her we met her
A
and her
daddy.
people and her father, General Strix, a group of people
Mm-hmm.
who, I loved Wim. It was like, is this a planet where the kids and the adults are at war?
It's a I
That's
wrote
such
that
a
down.
kid
They were like, "What?" They're like, "Huh?"
fighting for dominance, no, fighting for control of the planet. That's his fantasy, clearly. But it's a planet
Mm-hmm.
where they don't treat the kids as kids. Everyone's an adult. So here's my
Yeah,
question:
treat them
is
as
you know
adults.
they are the question is, again, we don't know the answer, but the questions it asks are, where these groups of people, we see two groups of people, right? We have their groups, and then there's another group that they're fighting
Yeah.
with, or they have like a beef with. Were these
The
two groups original?
Hatani, what was the name? The Haton? Haton.
Yes, Hatan. Were these two groups already there when the planet was destroyed and they stayed, or did they
Mm,
come by after the fact? Which is a question. And why is there only kids? Why are there so many kids?
that's Yeah, I'm not sure because they very much the Hattons feel almost like they have external world funding, right? I
Mhm,
don't know. A lot of times when you see people with that kind of equipment, it's like it's almost hard to believe that you've been there in this dusty town and you have that much. It's possible. I'm just saying it almost feels like the Hattons were some way coming from off world. Maybe they were part of the reason it got wiped out. I'm not sure. That was kind of the vibe I was getting. I don't know. I didn't just feel like, oh, they're both here vying for this planet. No, it feels like the Hattons are in
mhm,
control of whatever has been left over. It could also be, fun. Another idea is it could be the aftermath of whatever happened. These are the people who remained, and the
mhm,
Hattons just, grew to power in the wreckage. Very like, The 100 or one of those kind of weird shows. Um, but I don't know, because the Hattons definitely got a lot of firepower, right? And
mhm.
I'm wondering how they can have that here, and I'm not really seeing the source of wealth.
This episode focuses a lot on Neil as a character. We get Neil as a standout character, questioning,
Mhm.
questioning like, why are we fighting? Why are we at war? If it was me, I would just say sorry and
Mhm.
apologize. And what I like about this point of view is, yes, it brings in an objective point of view, right? Someone that doesn't know about this war, doesn't know
Mhm.
about wars, just like speaking objectively. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you and I have reviewed a couple of shows where there's a lineage of family feud that's been going on for a while.
Mhm.
And at times it
Yeah.
gets to a point where it's just like, well, does anybody remember why we were fighting in the first place?
Apparently, yeah. It's just like, oh, for some
And
reason,
so
historically, we hate each other. Why? I don't know.
I don't know,
Don't
because
know,
that person did something to me because I did something to the person.
man.
And what I like about with Neil's character is opening kind of Hannah's eyes to be like, I don't understand why you do this. I don't understand why you do that. But also what I like about it is that typically that story becomes, we shouldn't fight. We should talk things out. And as interesting that is, and as wishful thinking that is, unfortunately, we don't live in a world where just talking things out works. We'd
Works.
love
No,
to, but it
does
doesn't. And at
yeah.
first I was a bit iffy with what it's trying to say. But what I liked about it is that by the end of it, as much as he says, let's talk it out, Neil's willing to kind of take action, right? He takes
Yeah.
action, gets into the
There's
fight.
some growth.
When they're
Yeah.
being led out, he's there first, walking out. He's the one that kind
Mhm.
of distracts SM33.
SM33
So what do you think
with
of
the rock.
Neil on this episode? What do you think of Neil?
And he gets a little. Was that his mouth? The kiss he got. I
Oh,
don't
yes.
know. I don't know the physiology of his face, so I wasn't I wasn't sure if that was like a peck on the cheek, on the lips. But I think she was aiming for the lips. Is my point with the placement. So
And
definitely some
mind you,
character
he's got
growth
a
for
girl that
Neil.
he's got a crush at home too.
Mm-hmm. There's a little pimp player, little Star Wars player. But I really like Neil. I've liked Neil from the beginning. I like seeing I like seeing the shy, cowardly type character, overcoming his fears a little bit. Um, Especially just with the fact, like you said, I feel like he's. I don't want to call him a coward. He's just a young kid who isn't, type A personality. But like you said, he's able to realize that fine, okay, this isn't the point of talking right now. He wasn't like SM33, stop. You know what I mean? Like that would have been annoying, and I think that's what I like about this show.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
what I like, it's that the kids they're not like they remind us that they're kids, but they're mature kids, right? Remind me of my nephew, who is just like he's very mature 2-year-old, and once in a while, he breaks down and starts crying. And like, yeah, that's fair for your age. That's what you should do. But other times, he can actually hang with the grown-ups, right? And I like that about Neel, and I feel like I see him ending. It's almost like if they're all grown up, Neel would be the captain of the ship,
Mm,
right? He
mm,
feels like that kind of character in his trajectory of just being like level headed and all that. And I really enjoyed him. I think he's a
mm.
great kid, and I'm happy he got his kiss and his girl to do a random cartwheel as she left him. He's gonna have that memory forever. He's definitely gonna remember
She,
that 100%.
she's like showing off little slides, cartwheels and stuff. Shit. If I was a young kid and I had awesome skills and I met other kids, of course I'm showing off too. Look at
Yeah,
this.
like you like.
Look at
I
this.
bet he's watching me right now.
You watching? Watching? Are you watching? Look,
He's
look,
like, oh,
look,
it's
look. And I like his influence on Hannah, when he's like, come over, stay with us. I have extra room in my house. Being extra pimp. Look at him. Look at him inviting the
like,
girl over
look
to
at
the house.
the riz. Got the swag.
She kind of the impact he leaves on her is that
Mhm.
she has the sense that one day I will be the leader, and when I
Yeah,
am, I will walk the path that you kind of set before me in terms of
yeah,
maybe looking for peace can be a good thing, right? We don't have to always keep fighting. We may have to fight now, but I can know
but
that I
not
want the fight
forever.
to stop. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it. But talking about maturity,
Mhm.
I think we get some great moments with both Wim and Fern. Fern is going
Mm.
through a moment where she kind of questions
She cries.
herself as the
That's so
leader.
sad. I was
She's just
like,
like, I'm
Fern,
useless.
no,
I'm terrible. I'm the worst.
no,
And
you're
there's a great
not. I was like,
opportunity
you're
for
not. You're not.
and there's a great moment with Wim to just kind of, and I think there's a great maturity for Wim, right? Because again, he's usually the silly person cracking jokes all the time, but it's a great moment to kind of encourage her and just be like, no, actually, you're pretty good, and I'm glad that
He was like, yeah,
you're the
you're the
leader.
captain.
I
Yeah.
thought that was a nice moment
Uh,
between the
And
two
then
of
of
them.
course she has those cookie cutter movie moments where you say the thing that makes you figure out the reason behind everything. Wait, repeat that. Show me your back again. But hey, I mean, we're here for those because just like, wait, ordered. And again, like, I think I said to you, like, I figured out after the third time he said it. I'm annoyed. I wish I figured out by the second time. When SM33 was just like, can't. The third can't, I was like, you literally can't. You're not trying to say you cannot. You mean like you're made to not be able to. Gotcha. So I'm happy. I would have been a good captain for the ship.
Would you have been that great captain that left a message for SM33 saying if anyone asks about this stuff, you should rip them apart?
Probably. Oops. Because I love how he was slowly going through the reasoning. Like, oh, yes, captain said this, and you're captain. But captain said this first, so that overrides this captain. All right, sorry, I got to kill you. And that's the point.
I
I love
loved
how his voice just was progressively getting like more stern, right? Or like less playful, less confused, less shaky, like you said, or more like, no, I'm tearing you limb from limb now.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved,
Yeah.
the camera work. It's known as a
Mm-hmm.
snorri cam, was attached to
It
his
was
face
like,
and the way it was moving, when he was kind of moving around. I thought that was a really cool effect. One thing I will have a minor nitpick, right? Minor nitpick. I think this episode, as much as we say that, it's trying to move away from just being this kind of feeling at least like an adolescent
kick.
kid show, I think they could have raised the stakes a little bit, just a
Mm-hmm.
tad. I think the stakes and resolutions happen too quickly. So as much as I love the
Position for
sequence, I
sure.
loved when General Strix is just like, we treat you as adults now, train with us. We see them during the
Yeah.
training montage. Of course, KB's amazing at
Of
aiming
course.
because she's got the robotic implants. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, by the way, I want you guys to go on the front lines and go against our enemy. I was like, oh
Now.
shit.
Now.
I was like,
Guns.
oh shit, it's some Lord of the
Yeah.
Flies type shit. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Exactly.
I'm into this. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then you're walking through the smoke clearing and everything's building up. What were you expecting to see as they were walking through?
Um. Stormtroopers. Honestly, not anything but Jod and
Yes.
SM-33. I just like, but like honestly, some like rebel fighters.
Right?
I kind of thought Neel would be there trying to beg somebody to not shoot him because he started with that his whole rant about. I think that's when he started talking about. He just were like, why are we even do this? I don't want to kill anyone. And it's just progressively getting more and more. He was like, I'm not scared, but I am. Even though I am scared, that's not why I'm saying this. Just to clarify, right? Yes, I'm scared, but still, like, what is happening? So yeah, I kind of hear you because it definitely felt like a quick. Oh, okay, that's resolved, and I enjoyed. I guess, but it was so nice to see that because we saw Joe take the coins and he used the. So what do they call it again? The data something. What they call their money. Anyways, but yeah, he stole them gold coins and
Mhm.
used those to buy
The credits.
the credits and use them to essentially using those to save them by
Yes.
getting those creatures.
Which
So
I
that
loved.
wasn't bad.
I loved how it's first portrayed as if he did some soul searching and had them kind of realize that they've done the wrong thing. So he brokered peace between them and they're at peace. It's like, no, he just purchased the
No.
stuff and gave it back.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's technically quite straightforward, right? It's not wasn't that crazy, but was it Fran's face though when she saw him save them was so real. Like she
Mm.
literally looked shocked to her core that he actually came back and saved them, which was
Well,
it
you
was a
can also
nice
see
moment
this
of
is
growth
like
for him.
exactly. I think this is like the part of the trajectory of their bond, right? Because they even hug him the way they kind of run up to him and things like that. I love when he tells them, "Yeah, so I have to use your money." It's like, "What? You
Yeah.
stole our money?" And I mean, he did. I mean, he got caught
Did
trying to
he
steal.
tell? Wasn't it? Yeah, wasn't it Wim? Wasn't Wim actually like, wait, did you use my money? And he's like, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I have to use your money.
It was like to save you. Come on, come on. The dataries. Yeah, that's what he stole. Yeah,
Right.
did you steal my dataries?
I do like the fact that we don't really see his side of the story. We just see him when he comes back to the kids. I mean, we get a moment earlier on when he's talking to SM-33 about getting help. I just like when SM-33 was like, all we have here is just the planet is just only full of pirates or something like that. And he realized, oh no, he's talking about they're literally right there. It's not
Yeah,
that they're
yeah.
further away. They're
Like,
literally right there in front of you.
like literally.
So yeah, this it opens up to like, okay, then the coordinates that were found or given last time weren't exact, right?
No.
Because it was similar enough, and that makes sense because again, the
Yeah.
planet is similar enough, so the means of finding it would be the same. So the question is, where do they go now? Are the planets in close proximity? Are they in the same like solar
That's
system,
the
or
thing,
are they in
man.
different solar systems?
Yeah.
Where could it go
Like,
next?
is it like one estate, one big, happy drive down the street to your neighbors or what? I feel like they're close, but not like super close, but still like close enough where you can map to it, right? I
Mhm,
mean, technically, you can map to anything, but I feel like being able to draw directions to a place, it has to be like within certain distance type of thing, right? It's not
mhm,
like eons or light years away per se. It's just gonna be like you have to know the specific place to go, like altitude, direction, everything to get there. So I'm expecting that they're gonna kind of be able to um explore a lot of these other towns. I mean, sorry, I watched a lot of One Piece and read it, the anime,
Little
and
towns.
it's almost a similar thing here, like how like there are a lot of big islands and small islands. And sometimes you might just never get to an island because you don't know the direction. Not that it's so
Mhm,
far from you. It's just, you could if you take the regular way, you're never gonna find that island. It's just like a
mhm,
little bit off kilter and a little bit up and then down. It's actually underwater. But
mhm,
really a short journey. And I'm semi expecting that, right? Where we have some of these just being like nearby, but like not just you can't stumble upon it. Long story short.
Mhm. Mhm. As a computer tech guy, is it good design or bad design that the robot off switch is right there?
Yeah, that was so dumb. By the way, you just up and hit the back. It's like really. I
But
mean,
maybe that's good design because if you want to quickly
mm,
shut it off, I don't know.
I guess that's the question because I hear you right. Like it'd be it's good for ChatGPT to have a big red button, so before it destroys us all, you can just like, hey, stop, 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 stop. Because at the end of the day, they're still robots, right? They're still droids, and I feel like the worst thing to do would be to have it like maybe hit him like deep in on its inner
Right,
chest,
right.
and it goes haywire, and you're trying to get there, and it breaks your arm or something. So I guess in the understanding that these things could go rogue on you one day, good design, but I feel like yeah, yeah, you know what? I'll think of it like like a factory, right? A factory machine where you just want to be able to very quickly shut it
Yeah,
down because
yeah.
to be fair, there's no reason you should not be able to shut down your droid, especially because it's not like it's not a war droid, for example, right? You're not expecting it to be out on the battlefield, so that's not the type of security would need. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna call it good design. That was a safety switch
Nice.
to just always be able to save yourself in the event that this droid goes crazy. Just slap it on the back. That's that's, that's what you had to do. So good job.
But yeah, I liked one moment when they arrived on the planet. I love Wim's kind of ideas. We spoke about his
Mhm.
idea of like, is there a war between the humans and the kids fighting for the control of the planet? And
Yeah.
another one, it was just I laughed at when they were like, "This must be how did we fall asleep for 100 years or something?"
It's just yeah, like 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 he's such a kid because like how did you get there? But like I hear you. All right, I hear you. I I hear you. I like where your mind's at.
I mean, because again, I mean, if you had fallen asleep 100 years in that kind of context, you wouldn't be aware of it, right? It's almost like a blink and you
Mhm.
kind of, I'm here
Mhm.
already, from your
It's
perspective,
so funny.
right?
He
And
tell you
even when
watches so many
they,
shows.
right, when he, when you find the statue, he's like, what's his name? Captain No Head. That couldn't be his name. Well, it could have been.
Like
No, it's King No
like
Head.
no king. It's actually so funny.
Oh, and Jod has just had enough. He's like, you know what? Just kill me. Just, I'm done. Maybe I
It,
died laughing.
it was still enjoyed, even at the beginning. Part of showing their interaction, right? When as soon as they land on the planet, and they all just started running, and he's like, "Don't run off!" And it's like you can't, you
What are
can
you doing?
see him realizing you can't control kids because they're kids. Like it's literally impossible. Like he was yelling at himself. Like they were gone.
Yeah, and I think that's everything I have. Other than the fact that there's no adults allowed in the cockpit.
Well,
That's such a kid thing to do. No adults allowed. No
well,
grown-ups allowed.
well,
Because we're always not allowed. Well, I said we're as if I'm still a kid. Kids are usually not allowed, not allowed into adult spaces. So anytime kids have a chance to be like, "Oh,
of
you
their
can't come into
own.
our
Yep.
space,"
Mm-hmm.
they double down on that as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not
Good
sure where
memories.
this show can go next, and in a good way. I think we're going to probably get focused on the parents and the search for their children, and maybe some of the
Yeah.
pirates in the next episode
Yeah.
as chasing them.
Yeah.
I think
Because I
it's
haven't
high
seen
time
them
we
in a
had.
while.
Yeah, right. I think it's
Jord
high
has
time
to
we
run
had more
into somebody.
direct. Right, we need direct conflict. Like I
Yeah.
think we're building, but we need more direct conflict, and I think we need to get to the point where the kids fully understand that this shit is real.
Yeah.
Right, like I want Wim scared, like fully scared to be like, holy shit,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't like as much as he can end up being brave. I want them to kind of look at the
Yeah.
reality that this shit is. It's not an adventure. It's real shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious. I'm curious if we're gonna get there. That point.
I think so. I can see Wolf Boy somehow like catching up with them, almost like I don't know, like slicing Neel on the arm or something. Like there needs to be something enough to make them be like, like I don't need anybody dying over the kids,
Yeah.
but enough to be like, no, no, no. If you do say the wrong thing, you will be thrown into the embers of space and
Hmm.
suffocate there. Die. Don't think this is a game. Which
Yes.
is
And
why,
then
again, like
again,
we said, I was sure I was almost so sure that was gonna happen when they were on the front lines. But then I guess
yeah,
that was the
same.
point. They were trying to lead us astray, but
Mhm.
it almost feels like it's building up to that. Almost, it's like trying to increase the tension to show them a little bit. And next time, it's definitely going to be something I think a lot more direct.
Yes, I agree. Well, what do you nerdies think of the show so far? 4 episodes in. I think we're about halfway now. I'm not sure how many episodes total. I don't know if it's 6 or 8. But find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. You can also find us an email, thenerdybunchpodcast@gmail.com. We'd like to hear your thoughts. Check out our other podcasts. We are doing Silo, Creature Commandos, Dune Prophecy. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Davy Jones.
And it is Christmas Eve as we are recording this. So for those who celebrate
Christmas,
whatever celebrations are happening over the holiday period, hope you all have a wonderful and safe time. We shall see you in the new year. As always, Andrew,
keep it nerdy. 'Cause
peace.
It's the most wonderful time.